We talked about your debut last time, and you were, telling the story about how like you had major food poisoning. One of the really big things, one of the standout moments of your WWE debut is you're in the ring with Stevie Richards, and you clock him right in the face, and you break his nose.
Yeah.
What did that conversation look like backstage?
Oh, there was no conversation. Like Stevie was enraged, and rightfully so, man. Like he had already gotten his clock cleaned, I think, by Heidenreich, maybe not too long before that. But I mean, this particular case was awful. And I still look back at it, and there's no good excuse. Like I can't.
It was the Polish hammer right to the face, right?
Yeah, like when it comes to me and the Polish hammer, it's just no bueno. Just don't do it. You know what I mean? Like, because I even tried to bring it back in Poland against Nick Aldis. And I'm ashamed to say it, but I actually caught Nick. Not as bad as Stevie, but like, so like basically the Polish hammer is done. I've retired my Polish hammer. But the Stevie instance it was awful, man. It was just, think about it. Like I always look back at that, and it's my debut.
Yeah.
It's my debut on Raw. And this is a guy, not just a guy who got an opportunity, this is a guy, a lifelong fan who understands the relevance, understands the magnitude, how big it is. And like, and you know, you have food poisoning, the worst, like I never even had food poisoning, honestly. I didn't know what was going on. And it was just awful. I never had that kind of food poisoning since. And then you culminate it with breaking a guy's nose and orbital bone. Like, and I didn't know this at the time, but I knew it was bad. You know, like it just, you know, I remember some people trying to say, oh, it'll make your debut look good. You know, this guy's bleeding in the master lot. But I'm like, you know, all it does is make everybody afraid to work you, really. You know, like the worst thing in the professional wrestling business, even beyond a bad worker, is a big, clumsy guy who is dangerous. And like, that is the absolute worst reputation. You do not want that, because nobody wants to wrestle that guy. You know what I mean? You rather wrestle the guy who's a shitty worker than wrestle the big clumsy guy. You know what I mean? Because that's a long day at the office. You don't know there's going to be stuff misplaced, and somebody might get hurt. So anyways, I was really, I didn't want that reputation, because I already knew that. So like, I just knew that once I hurt Stevie, and like Stevie, I don't know if, I'm pretty sure he yelled at me, but you know, with time, I mean, he knew that I didn't have malicious intentions. There's no way I would do that to somebody on purpose, ever. Especially, like, I respected all of those guys upon entry. They might not have known it or seen it, because they looked at me like this dumb shit, you know, 19-year-old who's 270 pounds about to get pushed. But, like, I respected everybody. I was a boy amongst men in a locker room at that point. You know what I mean? All men that I looked up to. So it was like, you know, the whole thing sucked. But
are you walking to the back going, oh, my God, I'm going to get fired?
I didn't think that. I just knew, gosh, I just knew when I saw him and so enraged, I just knew, but like, you got to understand too, I'm sick as a dog. So, I mean, like, I can't even tell you what I was thinking. I can't remember anything post-match. The only thing I remember post-match was when I got to the back, I remember seeing Stevie kind of storming and walking, and he was enraged and he was yelling something. And again, Stevie, you had every right. So I
have his number. You should call him after this and make everything
You know what? He wouldn't want to hear it, because every time I've seen him since, and we're talking now 20 years, I always apologize to him still. And so I'm sure even he at this point is sick of hearing that. And by the way, if we're talking about Stevie this much, if you've seen his Instagram, I want to wish him, you know, a speedy recovery. I know he's going through a lot and taking us on his journey, but I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, wishing him a speedy recovery. You're right. He's dealing with a lot here, and I appreciate that.
He's a good dude, man.
He's a good dude. Such a good dude, and I love that he's allowing us to kind of see the whole progress of what's happening and the recovery that he's making. So yeah, wishing you a speedy recovery, Stevie.